On a quiet morning in 1999, Chester woke up next to his girlfriend, Sunny, when she suddenly confessed that she was falling in love with someone else. Despite his shock and grief, he continued to express his love for her and even supported her idea of opening up their relationship. Ultimately, the couple mutually decided to stay together despite the new situation rather than breaking up. After that, they moved into their daily routines. Chester, a cartoonist, worked on illustrations for his book in their basement, while Sunny began her day as a video music channel host. That evening, his girlfriend mentioned that her contraceptive had expired because they had not been romantically intimate in a long time. An awkward atmosphere filled the room, so he changed the subject by alerting and complimenting her shirt and gifting her a book for which he had illustrated the cover. She thanked him before telling him that she needed to leave. Chester offered to accompany her, but she turned him down, saying he would probably just read a book in a corner. Shortly after, during a musical performance by a band, Sunny fell in love with one of the guitarists, Miles, and filmed him exclusively with her camera. Backstage, the guitarist approached her and admired her shirt before they exchanged a hug, confirming he was the man she was currently dating. The next day, during a meal with his comic artist friends, Chester shared the details of his romantic relationship. They insisted that it would never work out, especially when his girlfriend started sleeping with her other partners, because it would make him jealous. Therefore, they advised him to counter this by doing the same thing. Some time later, while Sunny was out for the evening with Miles, her boyfriend was alone at their house. There, he spent his time playing with their shared dog named Mo. However, the sight of the book he had gifted her dampened his spirits. To improve his mood, he went down to the basement and immersed himself in reading a pornographic magazine. That same night, he confronted her about coming home late, and she apologized to him. When he tried to get close to her, she quickly rejected him, explaining that she could not connect with him physically due to her current romantic relationship with Miles. She admitted that she felt conflicted about their open relationship, but he remained understanding of her once again. The following morning, Chester moved out of their bedroom to live in the basement. Through the thin walls, he heard his girlfriend and her other partner making love upstairs. This sparked his jealousy, but he tried to calm himself down by taking deep breaths and immersing himself in reading a book. The next day, at a comic book convention, he opened up to his friend Kane about the chaos that happened the day before. Instead of admitting to jealousy, he insisted that the experience enabled him to overcome a negative side of himself. Later, he checked on his other friend, Laura, who was feeling sad because no one had shown up for her book signing. She expressed her envy, knowing that Mandy Mullins, an adult model, had much longer lines of fans than she did. Chester's friend urged him to take a picture with the model after learning that he knew her, but he refused, justifying that he was not desperate to spend money just for a hug. Instead, he bought his friend's book and urged her to sign it. She was touched by this gesture. However, she returned his money and teased him that he should use it to hire an escort. One afternoon, Chester saw Sunny appearing on screen hosting a program on a channel. He could not bear it, so he turned off the TV immediately and retreated to the basement. He then spent some time alone, imagining a romantic moment with Mandy Mullins. At first, he felt overwhelmed with joy, but his mood turned sour when Miles's voice echoed in his mind. Dissatisfied, he took some cash and rode his bike in search of adult workers. Despite his courage and efforts, he failed to find anything, so he simply rode his bike back home. During dinner, he borrowed a book by Jules Eros from Sunny and asked about Miles's whereabouts. She told him that he was sick at home, so she was planning to check on him. She then rushed to her new boyfriend's house, only to realize he was not there. Upset by the situation, Sunny went to a bar for a drink, where she unexpectedly found him in the company of another woman. Feeling frustrated, she stormed out while he called after her. Meanwhile, Chester read the chapter in Jules Eros's book that included advice on how to hire and treat sex workers. He took notes diligently and began calling them through their advertisements in the back of free alternative newspapers, asking about their physical appearance as well as their rates. After several unsuccessful attempts to connect, he finally hired Kitty, whom he met the next day. She requested payment immediately. While she counted the money, he sat back, though he was visibly nervous. Shortly after, she joined him on the bed and asked what kind of service he was looking for. Upon learning it was his first time, she reminded him that their encounter was about his desires, giving him the courage to finally say what he wanted. Throughout the process, Kitty remained kind and supportive, offering him guidance and praise instead of reprimanding him for finishing quickly. At the end of their time together, Chester gave her a generous tip, and she expressed her gratitude as she was in desperate need of money. Due to the pleasant experience, the client returned home smiling. In the living room, Sunny curiously commented on his unusually happy mood. Without any reservations, her partner admitted that he was paying for romance, which took her by surprise. When she asked him why he did it, he simply replied that he was exploring other means of intimacy without the need for commitment. This left her puzzled. However, she remained supportive, only asking him not to bring his mistresses into their home. She then disclosed that she had ended her relationship with Miles, prompting him to comfort her. A year later, the duo still enjoyed a good friendship, even though Sunny had started a new relationship with a new boyfriend named Carl. Chester, on the other hand, continued to browse magazines and websites to hire escorts, eventually finding Anne. The next day, he met her at her place to make love. After becoming intimate, they lay in bed and shared a tender moment, talking about their work and his comic books. One night in the basement, Chester suddenly heard an argument between Sunny and Carl. He considered intervening but changed his mind when the two seemed to be trying to patch things up. The next morning, the comic artist complained to his friends about how annoyed he was listening to the bickering between his ex and her new man. Laura said that Sunny was blinded by Carl's good looks, not realizing he was a terrible person. Kane then shifted the conversation by criticizing Chester's choice of escort, considering their age difference. In his defense, Chester highlighted her gentle nature and mentioned that he had gifted her a copy of his latest comic book as a nice gesture. His friend immediately inquired about his approach with paid escorts, but he explained that getting to know each other made the experience more intimate rather than cold. Cynically, Kane shot back that if that was what he wanted, he would be better off getting a real girlfriend. Later, at Anne's place, the patron recalled his previous conversation with his friends, so he remained silent throughout his time with his conquest. The concerned worker noticed the change in his behavior, prompting her to refer him to her colleague, Amanda. This drove him to book an appointment with the new woman, only to discover she was strict. Before engaging in romance, she listed a set of rules and thoroughly inspected his genitals. After a while, Chester went to Anne's house for another appointment, only to find Amanda packing her bags in a hurry. She explained that the police had raided their place, which alarmed the client. Before she left, he asked her if she could deliver his payment to her colleague. On the other hand, Sunny was taking a shower with Carl at their house. When she noticed he was dozing off, she grabbed her water gun as a joke and splashed him. However, this angered him, and he stormed out of the bathroom, leaving the woman dazed. Upon Chester's return home, he found the place trashed and his ex-girlfriend sitting on the floor. She tearfully recounted that Carl had left her after a fight between them. The man gently reassured her that it was probably for the best. Despite her miserable state, the woman still showed up to work later. However, the situation left her sluggish and absent-minded to the point of worrying her coworkers. Shortly after, Chester met another lady of the night named Tina, whose attractive look in her magazine ad had enticed him. At her house, his anticipation turned to regret the moment he saw that she looked different from her photo, prompting him to end their encounter. As he was about to leave, he came across a group of women talking candidly in another room. Seizing this opportunity, he chose another lady, Angelina, to spend the night with him. Unlike his previous partners, he failed to share a tender moment with her because she remained silent due to her inability to speak English. Upon returning home, he spontaneously shared his latest encounter with Sunny, prompting her to ask why he chose younger women. He replied that his chances of finding attractive women were higher that way, making his ex feel insulted. The next day, Chester's friends lectured him regarding his lifestyle. They believed he should have pursued a girlfriend instead of engaging in relations with multiple people. He sternly told them that monogamy was a waste of time and that it was for insecure people who needed constant validation. Years later, in 2002, Sunny was nervously rehearsing her script for her first movie. The director, Reed, complimented her talent to calm her down. Meanwhile, Chester continued to meet outlaw girls even though he felt dissatisfied with his current lady due to her canned responses and rude demeanor. For this reason, he decided to see Angelina again, but was surprised to meet a physically transitioned worker by the same name. She informed him that the other Angelina had already left the business. Elsewhere, Sunny and Reed were on their way home after watching a movie together. Suddenly, he pointed out her habit of getting distracted and advised her to stay grounded and cautious about whom she shared her energy with. Touched by his words, she drew him close and gave him a passionate kiss, marking the beginning of their romantic relationship. One day, Chester booked an appointment with another lady who was older and less attractive than his previous partners. Annoyed by her lateness and demanding behavior, he cancelled their appointment and returned home. Around the same time, Sunny made a big decision of her own by leaving her job as a host to pursue a new career. Later at home, Chester flipped through pages until he found Ulysses' magazine. However, her service required her to visit her clients at their homes. This new arrangement surprised Chester. But after a long streak of unsuccessful romance, he took a risk and invited her to his house, completely ignoring Sunny's condition regarding their home. The beautiful lady of the night eventually arrived, and her client led her to the basement. There, she noticed his collection of water jugs and used them to flirt. Taken aback, the man offered her a drink and rushed upstairs to the kitchen to fetch it. Shortly after, he returned to their room, only to find her waiting for him in attractive clothing. This aroused him, prompting the woman to pull him close. Moments later, he expressed that he had forgotten what kissing felt like. Out of curiosity, he asked her if she did the same with other clients, and she replied that it was an extra part of their agreement. She turned to ask him if he had a girlfriend, and he told her he did not want one. He claimed that romantic love was no good, even comparing it to making someone believe they owned another person. Ulysses disagreed, maintaining that love is a choice. After exchanging their differing feelings about relationships, the woman expressed her admiration for Chester's comic book, saying she could relate to his stories. She then asked him if he was comfortable with her knowing who he really was. The man simply nodded and said he had nothing to hide. As the woman prepared to leave later, she crossed paths with Sunny and her new boyfriend. Both women were stunned to see each other until Sunny finally confronted Chester about their agreement not to bring sex workers over before she left. Ulysses then bluntly told Chester that their arrangement was no longer suitable for her, and she left in a daze. That same night, a calmer Sunny approached her ex to tell him the truth. It turned out that Ulysses had been married to Sunny's father, making her technically her stepmother despite their proximity in age. The woman found it disgusting that her father had married that woman, especially since she knew her profession. Since Sunny's father's passing, the women had severed ties with each other, making it shocking for the stepdaughter to find the woman with her ex-boyfriend. Given the situation, Sunny decided that Chester had to move out of the house. This would also allow Reed to move in with her as their relationship had become serious. Chester did not argue and moved out the next day. In his new place, his drawings began to reflect his current state of mind. Meanwhile, at Sunny's house, Reed replaced a framed illustration of her and Chester, but she put it back in its place, indicating that she still valued her past relationship. One rainy afternoon, Chester happened upon Ulysses conducting an educational tour. Shyly, he hid and decided to admire her from afar, but she quickly noticed and confronted him. Shortly after, the two met again at his apartment. Despite their connection to Sunny, they spent the day in a romantic atmosphere and rekindled their relationship. Over the next few days, the man continued to see her for a romantic relationship in exchange for money. At one point, while sitting in bed, their conversation drifted toward their interests and life experiences, where Ulysses revealed she was interested in architecture and ethics. She added that she entered the field through university, saying it helped her feel more confident in herself. However, she had recently decided to downsize her client list and jokingly mentioned that he was among those excluded. Hearing this, Chester handed her a copy of his new comic book, and the enthusiastically delighted woman asked him to sign it for her using her real name, Denise. The man then asked her why she returned to her profession after her husband's death, and she simply replied that she enjoyed her freedom to do as she pleased while earning money. The next day, at a comic book convention, Chester, Kane, and Cecil congratulated Laura on the successful release of her comic book. At that very moment, they saw that Mandy Mullins, accompanied by her husband and daughter, was still appearing at the convention. Recalling how the idea of being with her had inspired him years ago, Chester briefly approached the attractive woman and thanked her for being a big part of his life before leaving to meet Denise. Shortly after, while the couple was recovering from the act, Denise revealed she was leaving her job to explore other careers and return to school. Though happy with her decision, Chester suddenly suggested the idea of becoming her sole client, but she was unsure about it. Meanwhile, Sunny called Reed to ask him to take a surprise trip to Costa Rica with her to see sloths. After watching the animals on TV all day, she convinced herself that spending time with them would bring her much-needed solitude. She successfully persuaded her boyfriend, and the two booked a flight immediately. Upon arriving at their destination, the couple sunbathed to the peaceful sound of the ocean and the chirping of birds around them. Sunny expressed that it was a perfect moment she had always dreamed of. Unfortunately, Reed confessed that he was falling in love with someone else, which completely shocked her. At her home, a heartbroken Sunny poured her feelings out to Suzu, who advised her to take a break from relationships and start focusing on herself. Ultimately, the melancholy woman reconsidered her words. So, she asked her friend to employ her at her new production company, and her friend agreed without hesitation. After a period of time, Chester and Denise settled into an exclusive arrangement, meeting only for paid companionship and romance. At one point, she agreed to let him include her as a character in his new book dealing with his experiences with paid encounters, provided he revealed as few details about her as possible. On the other hand, Sunny lives alone and goes through another period of grief over losing Mo, and here the movie ends. If you liked the movie, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell to receive everything new we offer.